My focus for bluukjazzdance is on stress management, reducing stress so it won't go to chronic emotional stress. I'm going to talk about how having 40 years of diagnosed dyslexia led to stress, and I had to develop coping mechanisms, management mechanisms, and overcoming mechanisms from visual stress. For example, I was suffering from visual stress. That's when you look at white paper, my eyes were hurting, and sometimes I'll go blind for days. Weekends I have to stay at home, and I didn't know what it was. I'll have migraines, extreme migraines I would have. That meant I had to take a lot of painkillers. I nearly got addicted to painkillers, but I didn't get addicted to painkillers. And I didn't know I had asthma. What happens when you take painkillers, you have breathing problems. So what happened was, I didn't know taking the tablets led to me having breathing problems, and I just thought it was just me. But it wasn't. It was because I had asthma unknown. Has everybody got that? What's happened with the recent life-threatening illnesses, I came to suffer from chronic emotional stress. The stress that I had led to chronic emotional stress because I wasn't able to solve the problems I had. When you have CO poisoning, when you have blood infection poisoning, it affects your nervous system, people. And you don't have control over your body. I tell you this from my experience. Most importantly, I never thought of it till I was in that situation. I was glad I got told I was dyslexic. Dyslexia have already got triggers and challenges already. Well, it's compounded when you get stress. You have dyslexia stress and you have everyday life stress. People never thought of that. Then what happens is, if you get ill, you've got dyslexia stress, everyday stress, and you've got illness stress. That's how it led to chronic emotional stress, because I had 3 types of stresses on me. The dyslexic stress, the everyday life stress, and the sickness stresses that come up, the triggers and symptoms. I lost my balance. How does a dancer lose his balance? I'm going to tell you why. Dyslexia distorts you. The brain gets distorted, and when you're not on point, you get clumsy. And I was dropping all over the place. I was unfocused. Now I'm going to give you a solution to that very quickly. Ball sports, I never realised, was keeping me centered and was keeping away the worst element of the triggers and symptoms of my dyslexia. How do I know? Because I did a course called Ron Davis, and on that course they did meditation. They showed I did many things. They tried to use different methods because different methods work for individuals. What happened when we was working, my brain would get overloaded, and it was like it would be filled up with water. So imagine water just in your brain, and it's just pushing out, and you want to release it. She tried to do meditation. I tried breathing exercise. All them things didn't work. You know what she did? She went to a drawer. She said, just try this. She said, catch a ball. And I was looking, I think, catch a ball. She threw the ball to me a few times. Guess what happened? It was like the water drained out of my head, people. Imagine the water coming out my mouth. Every time she threw the ball to me, water leaked out my mouth, and I found that my head was released. And I thought, wow. Then she identified what happens is, when you catch a ball, the right brain, for you to catch a ball, the right brain and the left brain have to be centered. And then what happens with dyslexia? You overuse the right brain. Do you understand? That's why it's important for the child to learn music, for example. If he learns to read music, learn mathematics, he's using both sides of the brain. It's important that the dyslexic balances his brain, but not in a linear process. You can learn maths in a very different way today, from a fragmented process, not in a linear way, because that aggravates his brain. Go and look up dyslexia and look up sequential learning. So sequential learning is, you're teaching me steps. For example, this happened to me in dance. You're teaching me A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. What happens is, if you've got short-term memory, you might teach me A, I forget B, I forget C, and remember D, and all I'm left with is A and D. Do you understand? Sequential learning in dance, A, B, C, D. That's what happened. That's how I got taught choreography. And this is why I left mainstream dance to develop my own dance practice. Why? because I couldn't remember the dances, because I didn't know I had short-term memory, because I didn't know I was dyslexic till I was the age of 40. Do you understand me, people? I'm identifying it created stress, and I'm going to identify when you get ill as a person with dyslexia. You have a number of different stresses. So I identified I have dyslexic stress I was unaware of. Something has to happen, doesn't it? Then I had everyday stresses. Then I had blood poisoning and CO poisoning stresses combined. That led to chronic emotional stress, people, in my rehabilitation. And I was glad I had knowledge, because I told my friends the things I had to do, you have to have discipline to do it. And many people haven't got the discipline. Do you understand what I'm telling you? It's not because they don't want to. It's because I'm a dancer. So you continue key things of health in your development. So what it was, I was still dancing. People couldn't believe that Blue UK Jazz Dancing is still jazz dancing. Yeah, because I use it for my health. I don't really go gym. I don't go swimming like before. I use dance to keep me fit, to work on my cardiovascular. I use dance to give me balance. I use dance to keep me coordination. So all the exercises that come from Pilates, people, is what I use in my home. Because to dance, you have to have training and development, don't you? You have to do a class. I changed that class to mix all the different dance styles I had to keep me in health and well-being. I started to think of holistic training, not the rigorous training. I don't train in the same rigorous way. I couldn't do it, especially when I was ill. Do you understand? So it's important for people to understand the stage I'm in now. I'm going to be talking about Blue UK Jazz Dance holistic freestyling, and it's to do with being de-stressed, and talk about, listen, the number can be more than one type of stress you've not thought about. Okay? Because what happens is, I've identified you got dyslexic stress. I've got illness stress, which is CO poisoning and the blood poisoning side effects. Still with me? Do you understand? They get compounded, and then you got everyday stress. Everyday stress, social stress, physical stress, intellectual stress, cultural stress, emotional stress, spiritual stress, political stress, economic stress, technological stress, environmental stress, and legal stress. That's a whole heap of stress, isn't it? Anyway, Blue UK Jazz Dance talking about stress. Part of my Rebirth of the Cool Volume 1 is going to talk partly how I reduced my stresses. One was coming to self-acceptance, problem solving, creating a strategic plan to do so. I had identified I was suffering from stress. I realized it moved to another level. Chronic emotional stress is what I'm suffering from now, people, and that's a horrible position to be, but I know I can get through it, and I'm doing it through a very using the arts. The arts is playing a pivotal role right now in my life, and the environments I'm going to, they have to be safe, they have to be supportive, and being very single-minded about my health is very important. I'm not an individual going to walk into environments where people are belittling me, which I was in. In the early stages, 2009, I was in environments where it weren't safe and supportive, which was my university. I'll talk about that. 05 to 10, what happened to my university. I had positive experience, people, and I had negative experiences. I had positive experiences when I left university 2010 and to now. I had positive experiences and I had negative experiences. My mom was a beautiful person. She doesn't talk about culture. She talks about, I met bad-spirited people and I met good-spirited people. I went to some people to ask for support, and they showed that they were bad-spirited. They wouldn't help me. And I'll talk about that. What did that create? That created stress. When you need help, you ask people, don't you? Well, what was happening, some of the people I was asking, I wasn't getting support from them who had the time. My old school friends are older now. They're like granddaddies, grandmothers. They couldn't support me in the same way, but they gave me help, and it was them at the end of the day, it was them that gave me the strength to again step up on my own toes, to put my toes, get off my toes, to put my whole foot on the ground. I was on a heel, people. The soul of my development couldn't happen because of my illnesses. Now I've got my toes and the heel on the ground, tapping. I'm now tapping, paying tribute to John Bubbles for him being a model I drew upon, because he'd gone through difficulties in life and he kept that love for dancing. That's what I love about him, and passed it on to others. Blue UK Jazz Dance talking about stress.